Walter Payton was born in the segregated Deep South, started football late, and yet became the running back every generation studied and feared. He didn't just lead the NFL, he rewrote how the position was played with a style nobody had ever seen. But how did an overlooked kid from Mississippi become the blueprint for greatness? And what price did he pay to do it? The answer begins in a place few expected. Walter Payton entered the world on July 25, 1954, in Columbia, Mississippi, a place divided by the color line and shaped by the weight of Jim Crow. His parents, Peter and Aline, raised Walter and his older brother Eddie in a close-knit black neighborhood where family, church, and community offered both comfort and boundaries. Segregation was a fact of daily life, limiting opportunities but also forging resilience. The Payton children learned early to find joy wherever they could, on dusty streets, in the church choir, and in the Boy Scouts, where Walter first practiced teamwork and leadership. Music filled the Payton house. Walter played drums in the school band and sang in choirs, sometimes skipping football practices to keep his place in both worlds. Track and field became his first athletic passion. He soared in the long jump, ran sprints, and excelled in basketball and baseball, all before ever putting on a football helmet. His mother worried about the violence of football, and Walter himself waited to join the team, not wanting to compete with Eddie, who was already a local star. When the time finally came, Walter was a junior at Jefferson High School. Integration had just arrived in Columbia, bringing tension and protest as black students and teachers faced new schools and shifting roles. Walter joined the football team only after Eddie graduated, and only on the condition he could still play in the band. On his very first carry, he raced 65 yards for a touchdown, hinting at the explosive talent that would soon capture a nation. But behind every yard he gained was the memory of a town where nothing came easy, and every step forward had to be earned. Walter Payton arrived at Jackson State University in 1971, stepping onto a campus that had long served as a haven for black athletes in the Deep South. Under the watchful eye of Coach Bob Hill, Payton found a place where his talent could flourish and his work ethic would be tested every day. Hill demanded discipline and versatility, traits that Payton embraced with relentless energy. He stayed late after practice, perfecting not just his runs, but his blocking and catching, determined to become more than just a ball carrier. The numbers tell the story of his rise. In 4 seasons, Payton rushed for 3,563 yards and scored 46 touchdowns, an NCAA Division II record at the time. National writers, often slow to notice players from historically black colleges, could not ignore the constant headlines as Payton piled up yards and points against every defense he faced. His performances earned him invitations to major college all-star games, a rare achievement for players outside the powerhouse programs. Teammates and coaches began calling him Sweetness, a nickname born from the effortless glide of his running and the easy kindness he showed off the field. But there was nothing gentle about his drive. Each Saturday, Payton made the case that greatness could come from anywhere, rewriting expectations for what a running back could be. By the time his college career ended, scouts across the country had taken notice. Walter Payton was no longer a secret. He was a top prospect, ready to take on the professional stage. The Chicago Bears called Walter Payton's name with the 4th pick in the 1975 NFL Draft. For a franchise desperate for hope, Payton arrived carrying the weight of expectation and the scars of skepticism. Some doubted whether a running back from a small school in Mississippi could save a team that had won just 4 games the year before. General manager Jim Finks staked his reputation on Payton's work ethic and versatility, insisting he was built for the long, punishing grind of the NFL. Payton's debut in a Bears uniform was anything but storybook. 7 yards on 8 carries, barely a ripple in the stat sheet. The Bears lost, and the city's sports pages questioned whether their new star was ready for the bruising reality of professional football. Chicago fans, hardened by years of disappointment, watched closely. Payton answered with silence and sweat, refusing to let frustration show. Each week, he took the ball and ran straight into defenders, never flinching, never looking for the sideline. The yards came slowly at first. By season's end, he had 679 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. Not yet a superstar, but something in his style. The way he bounced up after every hit, the way he fought for every inch, caught the city's attention. In locker rooms and on practice fields, Payton's habits began to reshape the Bears. Teammates noticed his extra hours, his willingness to throw blocks and take hits most backs would avoid. The numbers didn't yet tell the story, but the attitude did. Chicago sensed that this rookie was more than a draft pick. He was a promise that better days could come if you were stubborn enough to earn them. Walter Payton didn't just run the football. He redefined what a running back could be. Every Sunday, he lined up not just as a ball carrier, but as a blocker, receiver, and sometimes even a passer. His teammates saw him throw lead blocks that flattened linebackers, picking up blitzes with the technique of a seasoned lineman. Quarterbacks trusted him with their safety, knowing Payton would sacrifice his body to keep the pocket clean. On passing downs, he slipped into the flat or streaked downfield, finishing his career with 492 receptions, an unheard-of total for a running back in his era. Opposing defenses learned there was no easy way to bring him down. Payton's signature stutter step, followed by a burst of acceleration, left tacklers grasping at air. He broke tackles with a blend of power and balance, fighting for every inch. His durability became legend. Payton started 178 consecutive games, missing only 1 contest in 13 seasons, a streak unmatched by any running back before or since. The numbers only tell part of the story, but some moments stand alone. On November 20th, 1977, against the Minnesota Vikings, Payton rushed for 275 yards in a single game, a record set while he battled a 101-degree fever. Teammates recalled him refusing to leave the field, pushing through exhaustion and pain as if driven by something deeper than competition. Years later, on October 7, 1984, Soldier Field erupted when Payton broke Jim Brown's all-time rushing record, a milestone that crowned him the NFL's leading rusher. By the end of his career, he had amassed 16,726 rushing yards, setting a standard that defined greatness for every back who followed. The 1985 Chicago Bears bulldozed their way through the NFL, finishing the regular season with 15 wins and only 1 loss. Their defense, led by Mike Singletary, Richard Dent, and Buddy Ryan, crushed opponents, but Walter Payton remained the team's heart. In Super Bowl 20, the Bears overwhelmed the New England Patriots, piling up a 46-10 victory that left no doubt about their dominance. Yet as the confetti fell in New Orleans, a quiet ache lingered beneath the celebration. Payton, who had carried the Bears for a decade, never found the end zone that day. On the game's biggest stage, Coach Mike Ditka handed the ball at the goal line to William "Refrigerator" Perry, a rookie defensive lineman, instead of the man who had defined Chicago football. Teammates noticed Payton's silence in the locker room. Ditka would later admit that not giving Payton a Super Bowl touchdown haunted him for years. The win brought glory, but also a wound that never fully healed. Retirement did not slow the force of Walter Payton's influence. After stepping away from the game in 1987, he was enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1993, recognized in his first year of eligibility for a career that left the record books rewritten. 16,726 rushing yards, a standard for all who followed. In 1998, news broke that Payton was facing primary sclerosing cholangitis, a rare and relentless liver disease. The diagnosis became public as his health declined, and soon after, doctors discovered liver cancer, ending hopes for a transplant. Instead of retreating, Payton used his final months to champion organ donation, making heartfelt appeals on television and inspiring thousands to sign donor cards. When he died on November 1st, 1999, at just 45, Chicago and the football world mourned together. The NFL renamed its Man of the Year award in his honor in 2000, forever linking his legacy to service and compassion beyond the field. Walter Payton finished his career with 16,726 rushing yards, a record that stood for nearly 2 decades. From his beginnings in segregated Mississippi to his rise at Jackson State and his transformation of the Chicago Bears, Payton redefined what it meant to be a running back. He played 178 consecutive games, missed only one in 13 years, and set a single-game rushing record of 275 yards in 1977. Yet, some questions remain. Why did Coach Ditka deny Payton a Super Bowl touchdown? And how did Payton endure so much physical punishment with such resilience? After his diagnosis with a rare liver disease in 1998, Payton used his final months to champion organ donation, a cause that continues today. The NFL's Man of the Year award now bears his name, and his number 34 is retired in Chicago. His legacy, built on documented records and enduring influence, stands as the blueprint for all who follow.